Hello, 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 and welcome to yet another book review by yours truly, Shirata Sky. My name is Ryan, and today we're going to be talking about Football Sundays. Let's go. This is a Spruce, Texas romance. I believe this is the first introduction to the series of specifically the town and the series Spruce, Texas Romance by Daryl Banner. I am a huge fan of Daryl Banner, with one caveat, which I will probably touch on in another video. Like, I love the Spruce, Texas Romance series. It is my first introduction to Daryl Banner, and the way this man writes is phenomenal. We'll get into the plot. I'll touch on Spruce, Texas a little bit. But one of the things I did want to let you know is that this book does contain the F slur. So if you are triggered by that, I'm not going to be saying it, obviously, and I won't be showing any pages that contain it, but it does have it, and it gets used occasionally throughout the book. I know it's, I think, used a couple times in the first chapter, but we'll touch on why it's used and how it's used in this fictional town of Spruce, Texas. So without further ado, again, we're going to touch on the story. There are spoilers ahead, so if you do not want spoilers or if you want to read the book beforehand, just know that I can give this book a glowing recommendation with the caveat of the F slurs being used. It's not consistently, but I would say within a couple chapters. So fair warning if that is something that's upsetting. Again, I won't cover it here, but just a heads up for people who may be put off by that. So we are introduced to Billy William Tucker, who is working in his family's diner. He is known for making delicious desserts, and he has dreams of going to college and wanting to be a professional dessert chef, a patisserie, if you will. I don't know if I'm saying that word right. I'm not French. And the kind of introduction that we have is Tanner, the high school football star, Tanner Strong, is with his friends who enters Biggie's diner. Biggie's Bites, the diner where Billy and his family work. It's his family's diner, and they kind of reunite. They went to high school together. They were obviously in different social circles and stuff like that, but it's less high school jock bully because Tanner is the football star and returning home from the summer from college, and less, out gay nerd story. It's not a bully romance. It's not enemies to lover, if you will. It's more casual acquaintance from high school to lover, if you will. Not even friends to lover, because they didn't really talk much in high school. But this follows them when they're in college, and while Tanner's at home from college and Billy's working at his family's diner. And then Billy, of course, is forced to wait on them, and this is where we get the first introduction of the F slur in the book, and we'll touch on that in a minute. But kind of the whole story is, over time, Tanner grows close to Billy, inviting him to hang out with his friends at his lavish home, asks Billy to his place after work, to hang out, and some spicy stuff happens. There's the, you're into me, you're not into me, you're straight, I think you're straight, blah, 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 blah. Like, to the point where they're watching TV and straight porn shows up, and Tanner is trying to convince Billy that it's not his, and yet his younger brother's, and then at some point, kind of throughout the plot, it's Tanner's birthday, and instead of having his mom pick a caterer out of one of the ones they've used before, Tanner kind of says we're going with Biggie's Bites, Billy's family, to give them some quote-unquote exposure. So, Tanner is rich in this area. They own farmland. Their family is known in the area as a very prominent family, whereas Billy and his family are very middle class, if you will, working middle class, maybe low-end working class. It's not outright stated that they're poor, but they're not as comfortable or as rich as Tanner and his family are. So within the story, this whole place takes place in a fictional town called Spruce, Texas. It is a fictional town where being gay is fine. It's a small town. The pastor preaches open about being accepting of homosexuality and not condemning each other and stuff like that. As far as the use of the F slur, the book says, and I kind of want to quote it, so I will try and read it real quick. It's in the first chapter. Yeah, so it says, and a word about the word F word. Growing up gay in this small country town of Spruce that no one in the world's heard of, even with as friendly, quote unquote friendly as it is, you still hear the 3 and 6 word F-bombs thrown back and forth 20 times a day between boys at school who can't be bothered to broaden their vocabulary. I guess I've either grown a thick skin or become desensitized that I don't even associate it with gay anymore. And then that's essentially it. So it's, and I'll read a little bit more here as well. Not the whole page, if you will, but basically the reason that came up is beforehand, one of the friends of Tanner's says the F slur to the other after a comment of, that big old juicy thing, put it in my mouth, when referring to a burger or whatnot. So they call, him the F slur. And so the plot from Billy's perspective continues, or the narrative from Billy's perspective continues as, maybe that's what inspires me to make light of it. He says, quote, that would be me, end quote. I interjected with a smile, quote, though my main name tag reads William, end quote. The four boys shut up right away and stare at me. Zitz, one of the characters, tries to say something twice, sputters, and then fails both times, and then finally manages to get out, but you're not an F slur, you're just gay. There's a difference. Billy asks, by all means, enlighten me of this difference. And then Zitz explains, a F slur is just like a stupid person. And Billy says, oh, that makes it so much better. And they don't get the sarcasm, but it's definitely, like, while this fictionalized town is more accepting and friendly towards homosexuals, the F slur is definitely used. I think it's only used in this book. It may be used as a derogatory statement in another that I have not read. But it's definitely used as a point of, like the PSAs from back in the day. When you say gay, you mean stupid. What you're really saying, people have ears. They can see that. You can, read into that as you will. So it's definitely interesting that they used it and they used it again. But for what it's worth, I understand the impact it has. I use it occasionally, only with close friends. And only because I am gay. So if you're not gay, shut up about it. So we're going to go into the characters now. There's a lot more characters that we'll touch on. I don't really care about all the side characters. So the first two are William Billy Tucker. Do not call him William. And Tanner Strong. So William Billy is an aspiring dessert chef. He's been out since high school, and he's planning to go to Florida for college because his uncle lives there, and he could save on money. He's saving and working right now, saving up money to go to college because his family is poor, and they can't afford to send him. So he, instead of getting into college right out of high school, he started working, started saving up money. So this is happening, I'm imagining, after the first year of college, and when Tanner comes home from the summer between years, essentially. Speaking of Tanner, we go into Tanner Strong. He's a college football star. He is barely passing in college, and throughout the story and his relationship with Billy, he is hesitant and afraid of coming out as gay to his friends and family. And then side characters, I decided to group them by location, if you will. We have Billy's parents. I don't think they're named in this book at all. I tried finding them. I couldn't. Maybe I missed it. And then we have Mindy, another hostess, waitress working with Billy as the four people who are working in this one diner, if you will. And then we have the Strong family. We have Nadine and her husband, who also I don't think ever is named. We have Tanner's younger brother, Jimmy. We have Jackie Ann, the housekeeper / small part-time personal chef. And then we have the grandma of the Strongs, Grandma Strong. She comes in at the end and, kind of whips some people into shape. And then we have Tanner's friends, the somewhat backwards mindset that they have with Kirk, Robbie, Joel, and Harrison. And yeah, so that's the characters as a whole. I enjoyed this book for the characters, as it's not my traditional trope of enemies to lovers, but we'll go to that in a second. Speaking of, so who ordered the tropes today? I got an order. Who's it for? So the obvious trope about coming out, I think, is handled well. Billy wasn't overly pushy, but understandably slighted when Tanner opted to hide their relationship to his friends. Kind of bro, man, dude, what's up, dude? Instead of they were literally just about to suck cock right before that. So, that transition is a little bit jarring, obviously. And then Tanner does make a big coming out announcement, but maybe not for the right reasoning. I reread this, skimmed most of it, but for me, I understood it as Tanner wants to come out to not lose Billy, or not be so afraid of losing Billy for not coming out, which means he came out for somebody else and not for himself. But I honestly think it worked out in the end, because there's a happily ever after. There always is in these books that I try and read. But it was interesting that he specifically kind of was like, if I don't come out, I might lose him. And I'm like, yeah, but like, you should also come out just for yourself, you know? And then the happily ever after, like, again, this is my trope. It's true love, duh. Like, Tanner and Billy are solid together, and they are referenced in later books in this series. So it's not like each book is a standalone, I should say. So, like, you can read any of these out of order, but they will have subtle hints and notes leading to other books. So, for example, the one I touched on as a recommendation, Born Again Sinner, references the Tanners as they're now older. So the end of this book is a 3-year age gap or 3-year jump forward in time. And I think the rest of the books play off of that in terms of timing, but we'll see. I haven't reread all of them yet. And then there's the trope of the dumb jock. You know, this fills my soul. Give me dumb himbo jocks all the fucking time. Tanner barely can't do pre-calc, barely passing college. He's struggling. Meanwhile, Billy is like, I'm pretty good at math. I do the books at my, restaurant. I could have been tutoring you this entire time. And I'm like, yes, give me dumb himbo jocks, please. And then I said, not quite high school bullies, but close enough. Like, Billy never says or thinks that Tanner was outright mean to him in high school and never was outright a bully. Just that they lived in 2 very different social circles, and that does kind of play into the fact that when they first come into the restaurant, Tanner and his friends, Billy is trying to get out of waiting on them because he doesn't want to be recognized as the kid that stayed behind and didn't go for anything after high school. You know, he doesn't want to be viewed in that kind of harsh light. So it's a solid, soppy romance, and it's my fucking cup of tea, and I love it. So be prepared for the glowing, gushing recommendation that I have here in terms of the rankings. So we'll go through these as we normally go through them. Plot, characters, writing style, spicy scenes, and just overall what my ranking was. So starting off with the plot, 4 stars out of it. It's a romance between 2 main characters. They have some side characters. The side characters add some depth to the main characters. Billy barely has a friend in Mindy, and like he really only has a friend in like Tanner, if you want to call it that. So he's not got a lot of people going for him, but Tanner has a lot of friends, again, because he's rich, and he's got a lot of friends from high school, from football and stuff like that. So they are all home from the summer, so they all reconnect, and it's quite enjoyable. Definitely quite enjoyable. And then as far as the characters, 5 stars. Like Billy and Tanner, I adore these 2. They make my teeth rot. They're so cute together. They're phenomenal. They're phenomenally written. They're phenomenally like characterized. Billy isn't like down on his luck. He's not upset by Tanner's wealth. He's more just put off by, the fact that Tanner gets to live his dreams and do the things that he wants to do, and he has to like kind of work hard and scrimp and save. It's the silver spoon thing. It's like he sees Tanner as the kid with a silver spoon in his mouth. Always the high school star, always the football jock. He's can't do no wrong. The writing style, again, I love Daryl Banner. Danner. Cool, fun name. Daryl Banner, I love his writing. Again, one caveat we'll get to when I do these. It's a book of his that I did not enjoy, and I will probably tear to shreds. So stay tuned for that. And I like the writing style. It's descriptive, it's nice, it's definitely emotionally driven, and I enjoy that. It's not too overly flowery, but it definitely has the emotional stakes and the emotional weight behind it that you would need in something like this, where it's just pure summertime romance, essentially. It's summer lovin', a la Grease, except we actually get to see the summer lovin'. Spicy scenes, I would say 4 stars. They were enjoyable. I wish there was more. I wish there was a happily ever after ending spicy scene, but a beggar can't be a chooser, and also could be misremembering. But all in all, 4 stars is solid in my book. I love this book, again, to death, which is why, for my overall review and my overall score, it's a 5-star. I can't not recommend this book. This author, Daryl Banner, just like the other author, K.A. American, that I touched on recently, might be my 2 favorite romance authors so far. I'll have to see, because I have a lot more that I haven't read by other authors, but I also have a lot of stuff by them that I have read that I've loved. So I hope you guys enjoyed my ramblings on these. Some recommendations that I do have for these kind of stories. I have 2. Another one by Daryl Banner, of course. This is actually the high school bully to lover, or aka enemies to lovers, where they start off as enemies, wrangled by Daryl Banner. Oh, give me high school bully that gets redeemed because he's secretly gay. Like, yes. Spoiler alert, I guess. And then another small-time romance with former high school bullies, because can you tell I have a type? Because if you don't, hi, I'm here. High school bullies, come find me. I love you. This is Whispers of Home. This one is a lot different in terms of theming. It's by April Kelly, but it's got the same thing of, you know, it covers a lot more than these. I would say the characters have a lot more stakes in them. But for example, finding love in a town he couldn't wait to get away from is the last thing he expects, and the one thing that just may change his life forever. It's a phenomenal read. I recommend both of these books. I recommend anything by Daryl Banner with one caveat, and I'm not going to say it here, but again, Daryl Banner, solid writer, solid writer. And he's apparently also a composer. I just found that out today. So congrats, Daryl. I hope you're doing well. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will see you guys next time as we cover another MM book that I've read. And I'll see you guys soon. Have a good week, and I love you.